The NASCAR playoffs just reset, and with 4 races remaining, 8 drivers are competing for a shot at the Final Four heading into Phoenix in order to compete for a championship, winner take all. But which 4 realistically have the best shot of making it to the Final Four, and which 4 are simply just pretending and must win in order to lock themselves in? We'll break it down today on Shifting Gears. I'm Alan Bailey, and whatever happens in Vegas this weekend will not stay in Vegas. So make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you do not miss a brand new video, and log on to AmericanRacingNetwork.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. So this is what the points look like going into the round of 8. It's where we take 8 drivers and whittle it down to 4. And yes, that inevitably means that 3 of those spots could go to whoever wins the next 3 weeks, but it means at least one of these spots, if not more, will go on points alone. So every point matters, every stage matters. So let's go ahead and start from the bottom and work our way up. Ryan Blaney, -10 coming into the round of 8. This is a long shot. Really, seriously. The only saving grace he had was winning Talladega, meaning that for the last 2 weeks he's been preparing for Vegas. And remember what his teammate did last year? Had a garbage season, a very uneventful non-championship season, but survived the entire playoff run, won Las Vegas, and then spent 2 weeks prepping for Phoenix, ended up winning his second championship. Ryan Blaney could certainly do that, and it's why I think whoever wins Vegas this weekend will have the best car to win out at Phoenix. But let's go ahead and talk about the number 20 car, Christopher Bell. 8 points out now. He won Martinsville last year. He does stand a really good chance with these 3 tracks, but honestly, he's just a little off. He's missing something this season. Toyota does have speed at the 1.5 miles, particularly they should have speed at Vegas this weekend, but I'm not feeling confident. He's never been stellar at Homestead. Yes, he's good, but not crazy stellar, and I just don't feel like he's going to make it. Yes, he could win Vegas this weekend. Yes, he could win Homestead, or simply do a walk-off and win Martinsville again, but honestly, I feel like this team is missing something right now, and this is not the time to be missing something. The number 45 of Tyler Rennick, this guy is probably going to make it, honestly. Coming in 8 points out right now, won at Kansas earlier this season. He is great at Homestead. Martinsville, not so much, but for the most part, Rennick is the guy who should point his way in or win his way in, depending on how his season's going. Vegas is going to be his best shot for a win, potentially, but he's definitely going to carry some of that speed into Homestead. The 45 car is definitely one you need to keep an eye on. The number 17 of Chris Buescher, who comes into the round of 8, 3 points out. Only one top 10 among these 3 tracks. Not great. And yeah, he could show up at Homestead, and he could definitely win at Homestead. He could win at any of these 3 tracks, but this is a year of surprises for this 17 for Roush and for Ford. Honestly, if they're going to pull a rabbit out of their hat, they need to do it sometime in the next 3 weeks. It doesn't matter what they did earlier this year. It doesn't matter that Ford has been god-awful this year. They need to find speed, and they need to win sometime in the next 3 weeks. Kyle Larson, +3. Top 5 at Vegas earlier this season. Great at Homestead. Won there a couple years ago. Won at Martinsville. So he does have the best shot. It's Larson. I do not think he's going to falter. He should, in theory, make the Final Four and race for a championship in 2023. But again, one flat tire, one mistake, one trip up could ruin all of it. So we'll have to wait and see what happens to Larson the next 3 weeks. Denny Hamlin, +11 coming into the round of 8. He's got the most wins out of anybody in the playoffs at these 3 tracks. He's the guy you're going to have to beat. He won at Kansas earlier this year. The 45 won at Kansas, the second race out at Kansas. He's won at Vegas. He's won at Homestead. He does have a Martinsville win. He's pretty good. Denny Hamlin is definitely a serious threat to win his first championship, and I think he's almost certainly a lock-in for the Final Four at Phoenix. This guy, oh boy, Martin Truex Jr. What do I say about this guy? He had a great first half regular season, reminds me of Chase Elliott last year. Great regular season, fell apart in the postseason, and this guy and this team hasn't finished top 15 since mid-August. Never mind the playoffs, mid-August. That's atrociously bad. You can't even rattle off a top 10, and yeah, he's been off, he's had some bad luck, but they've just been slow overall. They definitely had a good run earlier this season out in Vegas, but honestly, I don't feel like that's enough to save them. They could get a win sometime in the next 3 weeks, but I feel like Martin Truex Jr. is the guy who's going to slip from plus 15 to below that cut line by the time we end this round at Martinsville in 3 weeks' time. Again, it's just not his year, I feel. And again, maybe that cushion that they built up all year long will add up to them actually getting a break, but I'm not feeling super confident right now in the number 19. Willie Byron, the number 24, plus 20 coming into this one. I think he's going to win the championship. I mean, putting it bluntly, but let's actually break it down in case you doubt this. He won Vegas earlier this year. He won Texas a few weeks ago, and since then, he's been prepping for this Vegas race. Last year, Joey Logano kind of exposed the NASCAR playoffs for what they are. Win the very first race in the round of 8, prep for 2 weeks for the championship, and then go win the championship. It's what Logano did last year and won the title, and I think that's going to be Willie Byron this year because he's the guy who has won at Vegas earlier this year. He's really good at all of these tracks, and he does continue to surprise and continue to turn bad days into good days and good days into great days. He's the guy I'm keeping my eye on. He's my championship pick. And the fact that Hendrick Motorsports was 1-2-3 at Vegas in the spring definitely doesn't hurt. And the fact that he led 176 laps winning that race. And oh, by the way, it was a 2-tire call that won him the race out at Vegas earlier this year. This is the weekend. Whoever wins this race this weekend, as long as they're a playoff driver, will more than likely win the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Mark my words, it's happening. And although a flat tire, a bad caution, anything, blown engine, you name it, any kind of mechanical failure could happen in the playoffs, and it could inevitably end somebody's championship run. But for the most part, I think based off history, based off of consistency, based off numbers, based off of momentum, based off of what we've seen out of these 8 drivers all year long, my final 4 at the moment going in to the round of 8 are William Byron in the 24 team, Denny Hamlin with the 11 car, the 5 and Kyle Larson not to be messed with, and the number 45 Tyler Reddick. All year long, it's been 4 drivers collectively running in the top 5 and collectively contending for wins week in and week out with the 24, the 11, the 5, and the 19. But the 19 simply hasn't shown up the last few weeks, so it becomes a question of who is that 4th driver who's going to contend for a championship with the 24, the 11, and the 5. And I honestly think it's Tyler Reddick and the 45 team. He is -8 coming into this round, but honestly, I think he has the most potential with these available tracks to earn the most points for at least the drivers who are on the outside looking in right now. Yes, Blaney can go win at Vegas this weekend and lock himself in. Same with the 17 or the 20, but I don't see the 17 finding as much speed as you need in order to compete for a championship over the course of the next 3 weeks, and the 20 team just simply hasn't shown up at all. I mean, arguably, he only showed up to Martinsville, and that was it last year, and that could very much be the case again this year, but I highly doubt it. I truly think Tyler Reddick, 2311, are momentum building right now, and I think that they're building towards something great. They're definitely going to have a good run the next 2 weeks. Martinsville is going to be the hurdle they have to clear, which is why they're trying to win Vegas this weekend or Homestead next weekend. But I want to go ahead and turn it over to you. What do you think? Out of the 8 drivers who are contending for a Final 4 position going into Vegas this weekend, which 4 drivers are you picking for the Final 4? And who do you think has the best shot at winning a championship with 4 races remaining in the 2023 season? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're there, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you come back for the next video, and log on to AmericanRacingNetwork.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. I'm going to be in Vegas this weekend, so make sure that you give me a follow at Hey Alan Bailey for everything that's happening on Sunday for the first round of the round of 8. Want to thank you so much for watching. For Shifting Gears, I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see you at the track.